Hello everyone, and welcome back to Planet Coaster 2. In episode 1, we started building the water park. However, since the game is called Planet Coaster, I think it's time we create our very first coaster in this game. It's gonna be Viking themed, and it's gonna be epic. Enjoy, guys. Alright guys, welcome back to Worlds of Wonder. It's time to build our first Planet Coaster 2 coaster. And we're going to start off with that classic, the Vector Looper. So, we're going to make a pirate-themed area, which means we're going to want to make it all pirate-themed. But first, we want to start building the coaster. And to do that, we're going to start with a little bit of a downward section and a backwards turn to start off with. Because I always like coasters that don't start with a lift hill straight away. You want to get that little bit of excitement before you get going, basically. And I've noticed Wickerman do it really well at Alton Towers, so it was a great example to use it there. Now, we're going to go into the chain lift. Now, I don't want to go too high with this, but I want to go high enough that we can actually get a bit of gravity going. Right, now we're going to start doing the drop downwards. No, we don't want to use those loops. They're too big. Way too big. Then I decided to go the other way around because I feel like that way was too close to the station. But then we went for loop number 1. And time to test. Here it goes. It's going to go round, testing. Here we go. So the start of this ride starts off up this little lift hill here, down. Does it make the loop? It does not. So start again. And yeah, this is the fun thing about Planet Coaster with coasters. You've got to figure out what you want to do. What loops are going to work. I really just ended up using the normal loops, but it worked well and it looks cool to start off with. Now, I will be changing the color because green does not fit pirate theme whatsoever, but they do clear both loops. And that's good. We wanted both loops to be cleared. Now we're going to go into the journey into this ride through the forest and make sure we actually delete the forest when we do the final thing here. One thing I will say about this coaster is it's going to be very loopy. I was actually trying to figure out if I could do my own loops, and I, again, realized that, nope, none of these options are good. Nope, too big. Way too big. It's amazing like how big they are standard. You have to really shrink them down. I really need to figure out how to do my own loops, and someone needs to either tell me or tell, because I sort of used a half loop and that kind of worked, but I wanted to make like my full own loop, custom loop basically. But anyway, we're going to test this now. So up the terrain, down into the first 2 loops, and then woo into the third. Doesn't make it, of course. Yeah, this happens a lot in Planet Coaster whenever you're trying to build rides, is get the right speed to get up them. And if you don't get the right speed, then it really is a problem. Oh, that's a problem. It's going into the ground there. Yeah, that's better. Oh, that's much better. Make sure tunneling's on. Yeah, a little bit of an airtime hill there, you know. I do love airtime hills in this in coasters just before a loop. I think it's quite nice. Ah, here you go. Making my first custom loop now. And that's kind of how I did it. With a half loop, kind of worked, I guess. Testing. Here we go again. Up the lift hill. Starting to really take shape, this little coaster now, isn't it? Down into the first loop, second loop, round the little helix area into the third, or the airtime hill over the other loop. Lovely. Now it was all about, how do I make sure that I don't screw this up? And yeah, time to make a nice little downwards helix over here. And then, well, it's more like a banking section of helix. Another little airtime hill there. Decides to get rid of the airtime hill. He's trying to figure out what to do here. It was always like, maybe finish the ride now. I don't know. I was thinking maybe we could add more loops. Yeah, maybe one more loop would be ideal here. As you see, guys, I probably should have built this in the daytime because, yeah, and it doesn't make that loop at all. Because it's very hard to see right now. I think just go for a little airtimes hill. Oh my god, no. That would kill you. That would kill you. That would kill you. Ooh, now it's just a bit of fanciness. Going for another 2 loops, maybe. Oh my god, what am I doing? Oh my god, that's so janky. No, delete, please. Please tell me I deleted this. Yes, I did. I did delete this. I made sure I did. I think airtime hill is probably going to be the best option here. If I can maybe get 2 more loops in, I might try that, but it's going to be pretty difficult to do. And I don't really want to go into the station too much, because if I do, yeah, we could have some real problems here. But, oh my god. Oh my god, no. That is an abomination. Oh, no, definitely not. Oh, okay, we're banking round now, going downwards. This is something I always struggle with coasters. I don't know how to keep it going after a while. Like, you either get a lift hill or you just end the ride, because otherwise you're never going to really get that. It's just going to slow down too much. I tried everything. I banked it round, everything like that to keep it going, making sure that it was... Oh my god, is that too much G-force there? It might be. It might be way too much G-force. I am so trying to put another loop in here, guys. You have no idea how long this took. Trying to figure out, going through all the multiple loop options. This is kind of, I wanted to time-lapse the series, by the way, because a lot of this is just me just messing around, like, not really achieving much. And basically, I have to record so much to actually show you some actual good stuff. So in the end, I just went for no more loops and went into the block section to finish up the ride. So there we go, guys. We've got our first coaster finally made. There are a few adjustments we need to do. I did spend an hour trying to figure out why I couldn't get 2 carts on the train at all. But it was time to test the excitement. And here we go. We're going to go down into the first... Ooh, look at that. Through the second loop round. It's looking pretty good. You want to keep it green as possible. And I feel like there's a lot of excitement there. The thing is, will it make it? It will not. So we're going to have to change the track a little bit more. After a little bit of fiddling with it, guys, we finally got the ride sorted. As you can see, got the block brake section set up. I've got just like a picture view of it right now so you can see that it is all working really, really well. So yeah, guys, after a bit of messing about, I finally have managed to fix the block train issue that I was having. I needed to fix this because, God, it was annoying. So now, what happens is, that train takes off, right? That goes up the lift hill, and that will stay there until that clears the lift hill, and then that goes round. That's in testing, by the way. That's it. That is safety in case things go wrong on the track. It's basically so crashes don't happen. Right, anyway, you just probably see what I've done here. Yes, I'm putting down a lot of scenery because it's time to start building the station. So, what is this ride going to be anyway? Well, it's going to be a Viking-themed ride, and I actually know what name I'm going to be calling this right now because I've already done it. I'm going to call it the Berserker. I know, cliche, Viking, the Berserker. And basically what this is just going to be is a Viking ride named the Berserker. It's going to have a lot of Berserker-themed things to it. And I feel like I called it Berserker because of the amount of crazy loops that it has. And that's really all I could think about for now. Anyway, guys, I made a very crucial error in this station. And I don't do it for the rest of the park. So I don't use the grid. And honestly, you need to use a grid, really. Grids are so much better. They make life so much easier. And I didn't use a grid straight away. And then basically ended up having to restart this. So I'm not going to show... Now, I've learned from my first video, because no one actually wanted to see the bad things that happened last episode. And it did drag on the runtime a little bit. So I'm going to skip now to when we actually build the proper station. So I found an ingenious way of doing buildings. Doing the roof first. Who would have thought doing the roof first would make building something so much easier? Yeah. Obviously, in real life, this would not work. And I do find a better solution later on when I'm building. But for now, I thought this was a groundbreaking thing that I found. And now we finally got a base station in. As you can see, very generic at the start. It's just basically wall on one side, roof at the top. Made it simple to start off with, then we can detail it later. But I can move it out of the way and stuff, duplicate it what I need, and made sure. Now, what I wanted to do with this coaster is really Viking theme it up. So I wanted a really big Viking themed station. And I wanted to make sure it looked good inside, proper, like a proper themed station. And basically, what I wanted to do as well, the loop here, I wanted to actually have the loop in the station because I thought it would look cool. So I was lining this up perfectly so that it would be in range of the loop, basically. As you can see, there are still some minor adjustments here. I'm making sure there's no gaps and stuff like that. Right, onto the floor. So we started building our floor now, which is going to be... Well, I'm going to be honest. I really should have used the grid, and I do use the grid. Okay, never mind. I did use the grid. I thought I didn't, but I did. But anyway, I'm actually going to move this on, guys, because this is just me building the foundation. Let's go on to what you really want to see. The detail. The struggle of what I had to do here. So I'm trying to line up blocks right now. Trying to get it so that the coaster actually... Oh, look at that, by the way. Look how the the loop, you would actually hear that in the station. It'll be really cool when you're queuing up for it. Looking for the perfect, like, doorway here. Took a bit of a while to figure out which one I wanted to use. Went for all the multiple options. Did go for this one in the end. As you can see, I'm trying to, like... I'm doing it all wrong, right? This is not how you meant to build it, by the way. This is how I'm doing it wrong, but I wanted to show you because it was a struggle. I do keep it like this, but I do figure out later that there is a better way of doing it. I'm using the advanced tool way too much. The advanced tool is really only for detail only. For your foundation and base, you really don't want to use the advanced tool, really, because you end up with a bit of a mess like this. And it doesn't look too great, does it? And hopefully, one day we will go back and fix this, but it's not too noticeable once you add the detail, though, which we are now going to go and do now, instead of wasting our time here. Get on with this detail part. So we're going to start with using a few wooden planks to make it look like, you know, to fix my mistakes. This is what I was doing, by the way. The great thing about detail is you can fix any mistake with a lot of detail. If you've made, like, some errors, maybe add some planks. Viking's not meant to be perfect, so actually this kind of looks okay now. I'm starting to understand it. I do duplicate the back as well to make it kind of look the same, but I've got to be obviously careful that, you know, the track fits in. At the moment, you would kill everyone in sight because basically, yeah. So I'm being lazy, trying to duplicate it, and making sure I don't kill anyone in the process. Also not deleting things. It is a bit tricky, but I do eventually kind of figure it out. There you go, sort of getting it span round. And then it was all about, instead of just like spinning it round, I decided to just delete instead because it was easier. And just sort of line these walls up in a way that, yeah, you could actually get the coaster in. By the way, guys, this will be the one and only project where we will have this problem because I now know that smaller wall pieces exist, which I'm doing now. I'm placing smaller wall pieces down, which does make it so much easier to place in these small, tighter areas. Also, we are still killing people as the track goes around. Obviously, Planet Coaster's collision damage is not the best. We are now inside the station, and we're going to start working on something really cool now. So, obviously, sometimes I find that stations, you want them to feel a bit more theming inside. And I thought of a great idea. Why not we do a trap door, right? A trap door out now that I've fixed the problem outside. So we get a trap door in, and these have got to be timed well. I've got to basically open these at the exact moment the coaster comes into view. And obviously to do that, you have to put the trapdoors in, and then you have to set the sequences up in the coaster. But anyway, guys, I thought I'd basically explain this in short while I build it, and then I'm going to basically show you how it works. So to do this operations into scenery, place trigger, and then obviously call it trapdoors. Obviously, that's what we're going to be doing here. Then click on the scenery, and then you've got to sort of just add the sequence. And what should happen is not that, and that's not what should happen, is you're meant to go in and add the scenery to a track, make sure it's all selected so all the gates move, and what should happen is, boom, it opens like that. That's how I wanted it to go. Now, obviously, there's a bit of tidying up to do here and there. The trapdoors kind of look like they're not on anything, so we're going to have to fix that as well. There's a lot to fix. Obviously, this game is very teething and a lot to learn as well. It's a lot different to one, and things are smoother. But anyway, the trapdoor thing looking good. Now it's time for some more detail. Now, obviously, with detail, you could be here for hours, and you are. You're trying to figure out what's the best thing that I can build that's going to look cool to show off, or even just to look for yourself, because your guests want to have good scenery. The guests don't really care on how it looks as long as there's a lot of pieces. I'll put that in mind. So if you're not the best builder, do note fear. Your guests aren't going to hate your ride, but always try and strive to become a better builder. And don't take shortcuts like I do sometimes, because shortcuts kind of ruin like the immersion like you built it. You want to build most things at yours. There's no bad nicking a few things there and there, but yeah, mainly try and build stuff. But anyway, yeah, I'm trying to figure out actually what sort of lights I want to go for here. It's a bit tricky because Viking stuff is very much all fiery, and we're in a wooden building right now. And I'm not being funny, but if this was real, the fire was real, this would be a disaster. I did go for these, and you're like thinking, well, that would burn the building down in real life if they were fire. They're not fire, they're fake fire, by the way. Just going to put that out. Most theme parks use fake fire. There is an exception where they use real fire, but they probably have stone or something like that. So yeah, added the lanterns in. Starting to take shape, this place now, isn't it? Then, of course, you got to start adding these in. They are super, super important. I like to board up things with, it just feels like there's a bit more structure to the station. You want, you know, structure. So you want to add some boards in. So it's not, obviously I'm taking a bit of time here to figure out how to do this, but eventually we do put it in, and yeah, you know what's going to happen now. We're going to advance tool it across, and it's going to look pretty cool. But anyway, guys, I will admit, last episode was a bit underwhelming. I feel like I was trying to rush the episode out and wasn't really thinking about what I was building. I was like, oh god, need to get this out, need to get this out. And then I realized, why? I don't want to play, I don't want to be that YouTuber. Oh god, rush it out, you know. I want actually to, you know, spend a bit of time and make a good video, you know, sometimes. And that's what I tend to do with all my videos, even my Warhammer ones, which you would think were surprisingly simple, but they're not. You still got to go through the whole video and cut out all those boring parts that I cut out, especially for you guys, so that you're not bored out your goddamn minds. I mean, I get bored in those parts. Like, it is what it is. There are boring parts in anything you do, and you've got to cut them out as best you can. But anyway, as you all know, the duplication tool is going to come in very handy now, and we're just going to duplicate the boards and move them over to the other side. Just like that. There will be a bit of an aligning issue, but we will fix that in due course. Now, I wanted to go for a bit of an immersion feel here, right? Yes, I know they're fake lights, right? They're fake lights. And of course, if they are fake lights, then they're going to be not set on fire. But I wanted to create the immersion that they were real. Like, they were real. And how could you do that? How could you make an immersion wood-style ride feel more immersive while feel like it's real fire in there? Well, there's actually a really easy way to tell people that this could be real fire. And it's to use a certain block in the Viking roster. And it's a very simple one. And if you've ever played Minecraft, you would do this all the time because fire does burn. And it's very simple. What you would use is cobblestone. I know. Wow. Yowza. Cobblestone is a great tool to use around fires because basically it means that the fire cannot spread. And it's just a great little immersion. So I started to put cobblestone pillars in. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. This was a bit of a pain in the arse because I was still TiVoing the game at this stage and didn't really figure out that you could use a grid system. And when I figured out the grid system, I was so relieved that it was in the game. And it was in 1 and I never used it. You know what? I am this dumb that I just didn't use the grid system at all last episode. And pretty much all this episode. Apart from maybe the little things that I build later on. It's crazy, isn't it? I just did not use a grid system, and I could have done it, and I just never did. I don't know why I didn't, and I do apologize for being such an idiot, because that grid system would have saved so much time. Anyway, we've actually got to start working on the entrance now, and where we want to place this. So, yeah, another reason to use the grid system, so I can actually put the right place in, you know, the right angle. So that it doesn't look stupid. Eventually, we did find a good exit path here. And then it was all about the entrance as well. But first, we got to figure out where would we put this. I basically kept deleting squares until I found one that I wanted. And then the entrance was also set up. Alright, so obviously, you're probably wondering, but what about lights in the ceiling? Well, I was thinking about that. And I eventually went with the lanterns. And look! I used a grid system, well, a snapping tool. And look at the results here. It's actually identical all the way across the station. And it just makes the ambience in here even better. Now we're using the Viking lamppost. And I didn't think this could be used for purpose, but I actually found a very good use for this lamppost. And it was for doorways. And doorways are kind of important when it comes to your stations. Because if people can't enter, it's a problem. And I used them in a very strange way, these pillars, these pointy pillars. I decided to do like a double spike on either side, just to give that Viking feel. And it kind of looks really nice. And I just, this is what you do, right? The more time you spend in this game, the more you start thinking of things, oh, how could I make this better, you know? I was like, oh, could I expand the roof? Does that look weird? It does. Got rid of it. You know, you try and figure out, but maybe the one roof looks pretty cool, you know? And then you get the pillar and you put the pillar up and you attach it to the roof and it kind of looks cool, doesn't it? I can't actually remember if I leave this or not, but at this moment in time, it does actually look cool, so I hope I don't delete it. Kind of like it. Obviously, you know, you've got to fix the terrain, and here's a little easy fix. Use the terrain tool. Don't try and align things out again. It's never going to work. Just use the terrain tool. The terrain tool just helps so much in this regard. By the way, while we're on the talk of money as well, I've just started the money conversation. You notice that the money keeps going up in the corner. Yeah, the pools are an absolute genius from me. I'm just literally being able to build coasters now in the park because the pool is earning me so much money. Now, I don't know what's going to happen once we get a couple of coasters up and running. Will the costs increase and make it harder to make money? Because I'm playing on normal at the moment. I didn't want to go into challenge mode straight away because I wanted to, you know, figure out what I was doing first with the tools and equipment. But we will do a challenge mode park at some point, probably a year from now, once I've really learned how to play this game. But I just wanted to start with a custom part. So it's kind of like sandbox mode, but there is still you still have to manage your guests and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just walking around now looking at Chief Beef, I guess. I do that sometimes. I like to just go look around and admire my park a bit, but I realise there's not really much to admire until later on in this series. So yeah, kind of pointless, to be honest. But yeah, the pillars are in place and they look fantastic. So yeah, still not using the grid system, even though I did kind of use it with the lights, and now we are duplicating the cobblestone pillars. Because I thought I'd show you this so you'd understand that I wanted to create that immersion that the fire was real. So the rest of that little station I finished off camera because I didn't think it was that interesting to actually show. But now what we're going to do, guys, is the next section of this important thing to do in this Viking world area is build a plaza. Of course, you need a plaza. You need a plaza to actually get to the ride, a plaza for shops after you get off the ride. So it is time, guys, to build a really, really cool little plaza section here. Now, obviously, this is going to be a Viking-themed area. And if it's going to be Viking-themed, it needs to look Viking-themed. So you're probably going to get very confused in a minute what I'm about to build. But I'm building a fountain. Now, did Vikings have fountains? I actually don't know if they did. But I wanted to build a fountain as a centerpiece here for the plaza, because I thought it would be really cool to have this in the middle, trickling away, and it would look really cool. And I'm pretty proud of this fountain once it's made, so we're going to give you a little introduction of what I do. So I start with a simple Mediterranean base. Yeah, went for Mediterranean rocks. I seem to really like Mediterranean rocks here, it seems. And then I was thinking about putting water, obviously, in, you know, using the terrain tool. But I've got to obviously turn down the size a bit, because if I don't, yeah, it's going to look really weird. But eventually we do find a rough idea where we want the water. And then once we head it down, we place down the water. Lovely. There you are. It looks better. It already looks more Viking-themed. I'd say it looks more Caribbean at the moment. Bay. Right, so then it was time for the bigger rocks. And I started with a little tower of rocks first. And then I was starting to notice this looked a little bit prehistoric to start off with. Can anyone see the prehistoric feel? It's a bit too bad. The white rocks and stuff. I was trying all sorts with everything, but I didn't want to go too prehistoric with it, because if I did, it would not fit the theme. I made it even more prehistoric by adding these little pebbles on them. I feel like I made this way too prehistoric, but I do save it at the end and watch the reveal how I turn this prehistoric fountain into a Viking fountain. And you're probably thinking, how the hell are you gonna do that, Will? I tried the boat first. That didn't work. Oh yeah, if you wonder what this is, it's just like all the scenery laid out for me, so it seems easier. But in the end, I don't use that, and let's just start going back to using the main menu. I was idea just having it there so I could have a look at what scenery there was if I needed to. But yeah, and I still keep making it prehistoric, as you can see. So you got to bear with me here, and everyone bear with everything that I'm doing right now. But eventually we start adding more rock. So now we're going to start adding the Viking bits in that I wanted to do. So I went for their lovely axe first. Put the 4 axes in. Maybe put 6 in. Was trying to and I thought, well, 4 looks good, but let's make sure we space them out. See, already looking more Viking with those axes in. Of course, we need some swords. And of course, yeah, we're going to have the sword in the rock. From a lot of fantasy, stuff you gotta pull the sword out to be the chosen one, basically. And then some flags. I'm not sure if I kept the flags, to be honest. They looked a bit weird. And in the end, I didn't really go for it. Then I got some smaller axes, like chopping axes. Placed them in the ground as well, but obviously the right way up. You can't really put the army axe in the ground properly, so I have to pull it out. Be careful not to chop your hand off in the process. Did I go for one sword in the end? I think I did. I think the one sword really made it for me. The fountain's really started to take shape now, and it was all about, is this going to get too busy now? That's the thing, like, so I started adding more sails, and I kept looking at it like, do I really like this? And then here we go, we're adding like the arms now, I guess you could say. The arms were, you know, so that the water trickles down. I wanted to make a fountain, so I wanted to have like arms going out. I honestly don't know what monstrosity I was building, to be honest, at the time. It looked prehistoric, so I had to add some Viking in it, otherwise, God, it would look too prehistoric. But yeah, really good idea for when Prehistoric World does drop, probably way in the year when they add the Prehistoric Pack, if they do add one. They better. Planet Coaster, Frontier, if you're listening, please add a prehistoric theme. Thank you. It is amazing, though, what you could do with, like, the Viking theme to change things. Time for some shields now. I don't know if I keep these. I actually can't remember if I kept them or not. I don't think I did. In the end, I went for the Viking statues instead. I think they looked better for this. I mean, it's a shame that they're not, like, full Vikings, but, you know, I kind of like it. I know you can make them, but that requires quite a lot of effort to do. And yeah, guys, it's time to start adding those water features now. This took some time. And I could bore you showing all this, but I'm not. I'm going to snap my fingers, and we're going to go right to the finished product. And here it is, the centerpiece for my Viking area, the Viking fountain. As I pan away from it for some reason. Go back to the fountain, Will. Thank you. Yes, look at it in all its glory. I might remove the stupid water thing. Yeah, so I stupidly didn't have, like, times where I just admired it, I guess, and, like, talked about it live. So we kind of just have to go with what we can see. And you saw a bit of it, so yeah, you saw the fountain done. And now we're on to the next thing, which is the queue line. So we've skipped ahead to here because basically I wanted to tell you guys something before we got started. That is not my building there. The one there, currently you're seeing, that is a prepaid one. I had to put it in because it looked too cool to not put in the queue line. Now, I've made a critical error here by using pass for queues to start off with. But I wanted to show you what I was building here first, because basically this is going to be all water, right? All this area is going to be underwater, right? And eventually we do realize that we can't use pass for queues because we have to use the terrible queues. And yeah, you're about to see it all take shape now. But yeah, guys, if you leave a like rating, if you're enjoying the series so far, we are going to try and aim for weekly with Planet Coaster 2 vids, as it's a building game and you got to build stuff, so it's going to take a while. You know, as much as like Warhammer is hard to put out, it is just recording battles and campaign mechanics rather than having to build something, so it of course would be quicker to get out. Anyway, let's get back to what we were talking about, which is our beautiful queue line. Now, I'm trying to get the right terrain here, which is always difficult with the terrain brush. I really do wish like there was a square option to dig into the ground rather than what we have. I know you can then use the flattened foundation to smooth things out, so it's hard to get the right angle and width for depth, but eventually you do get there, but it takes a while. Water goes down, starting to look quite nice, isn't it? And then we went for our classic wooden cobblestone fence. This is going to be a lot of the theme around the Viking area. I feel like it just fits really nicely with the water park. I am going to try and intertwine to connect both of these areas up, the water park and the Viking area. So you've got Valhalla Waters with the Viking world in there as well. All connected up, all looking brilliant. And I have decided that I'm going to do a Viking flume ride, a Viking themed flume ride, completely just a rock mountain covered in rocks and spears and axes. We are going to be doing that at some point later on in the series. Could happen next episode, but yeah. So yeah, now we're just working on the walls, really starting to really take shape, this place now. Remember, obviously, you don't want people to be able to just walk onto the ride, as I mentioned last episode about the murderers. Obviously, you know, we hope people don't murder, and yeah, if you go to a theme park, behave. But yeah, that's kinda what we're doing here. We're just building the foundations of this ride now, making it look swell. putting all the walls in, making it look nice. I didn't want to spend too long on this because it literally is repetitively placing a fence around an area. But I wanted to show what I was starting with, and I'll give you an idea of what's going on here. So the fence is going to go around the entire pool. It's going to cover the entire pool, okay? And then once that's in, we're going to add the queue line in. And that's what we're going to get onto now. Right, let's get started with that queue line. And I'm loving the weather right now. It is absolutely pissing it down. Look at this. Imagine waiting in a line like this. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the splashing in itself would be enough to stop you queuing. But yeah, what is this weather? Jesus. I didn't think Planet Coaster would go into like this turmoil of weather where it would just literally rain, and rain more constantly. Anyway, let's get to what we're talking about, the queue line. I started off going round the queue, but then decided, nope, that's not going to work. And decided to put a better approach in. I do like the little cattle pen that I did. That's good. But then we needed a way through into the actual station. And if you've got such a big building like you do, why would you not want to go through the bottom bit, under the ride? Kind of like Oblivion does at Alton Towers, you go under the ride. A lot of rides do this. At the big station, and the queue line will go underneath the station or above the ride, depending on what. And then, yeah, it's about building the queue line through. And you'll notice as well, when I went through, you couldn't see the queue line anymore. It was kind of like disguised into the wood. Yeah, you notice. Unless I've not placed it yet. No, I have placed it, yeah. I did want to at least have the white bit showing, just so I knew where the path was, so I could start placing the lights down. Now, obviously, choosing what light to use is always tricky with Viking themes, so what's a good one? Definitely not that. I thought, anything decent? I couldn't find the lights that I wanted. The fiery ones, would these work? I did go for these in the end. I think you might get away with this in here, maybe. I don't think the flames, if they were real, would set the whole thing on fire. I could be wrong. Now, one thing I've noticed about this game is whenever you duplicate, sometimes it doesn't seem to be on the right axis and you sort of have to change it. Otherwise, if you don't do these minor changes, it becomes a real issue where you literally just, and then you have to restart constantly. You notice I'm not snapping. I should be snapping here and I'm not snapping again. I put the queue line at an angle, so I have to put the lantern at an angle if I want it to be straight, basically. If I want it to be as straight as possible and not like wonky, because you don't really want wonky lights, it looks weird. And yeah, eventually we did do that. We didn't use the snap tool though, and I think like the snap tool was so good for the ceiling that I showed earlier. I do think the advanced duplicate does work well, but I think, you know, the snap tools win. Anyway, that's all we're pretty much doing here, just putting lights down and stuff. I think we really need to like have an episode where we sort the inside of this bit out underneath, because I kind of neglected it this episode. So we'll move past that and move on to the next stage of what we're doing. So you join me a little bit further into this time lapse where I'm actually building the queue line fencing. Now, I like to build my custom queue lines. I've always been like that. Ignore the people up there. I used a Greek, believe it or not, I used Greek mythology fence, and it seemed to work well in the Viking themed area. You see what I mean? How you can literally make using different theme pieces look like they don't belong, like that's Greek mythology, and it works well. Anyway, we're actually building the other side of the queue line now. This is going into the station now. Now, you're probably wondering, that's a very high place. Wouldn't you agree? That's very high up, and I don't think people would want to go up too big of steps, especially for ride access only. I mean, God, how the hell would you ever get up there? You'd probably need a lift. So I'm trying to figure out here what would be the best course of action to actually get up into the high area. And I had an idea on what I wanted to do here. I wanted to make a priority pass line and a main queue line. So in order to do that, I wanted to have them both meet in like an area of effects, basically like 13. And basically what I wanted to do is build a separate building, like a staircase building, kind of to hide the staircase so it didn't look as ugly. Because if you just see a staircase coming down a massive station, it kind of looks a bit out of place and a bit weird and like a bit dangerous as well. So we wanted to basically build another building, basically. Are you noticing something, guys? Are you noticing something right now? I'm using grids. I did it. I understood to finally use grids, and honestly, it is such better. By the way, I can move the ride later. Don't worry about I'm going on the ride. I will move this later. It's not going to stay like this. But yeah, I use grids for the most part. I say. I still don't use some aspects of it, but yeah, mainly use grids. And I'm just building like a little hut outside the main station so that we can hide the queue line. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this was painful. Most painful part of the entire... I thought it was the block section. This tops everything. These queue lines are ridiculously hard at the moment. You cannot make cattle pens. You cannot make square shapes like cattle pens at all. For some reason, the queue line is so different to the pathway. I'm absolutely... I cannot understand it. I really do not understand. And it's really easy to fix. All they'd have to do with the path is literally give it the same path rules, just make sure it's a one-way only. And boom! Your queues are fixed! That's all you have to do in the code. Literally go into the queue thing and say, right, do everything paths can do except make it one-way only. You got a queue. Problem solved. I don't understand what Frontier were thinking with this one. I hope they fix it because queues are terrible. I'm going to give you a little brief of what happens here because I'm about to lose my insanity in a minute, right? So basically, I'm starting to make the queues, right? And you could already see I'm struggling. Look at this. I'm already struggling to get these queues. Like I already struggled with the queue down there, right? You know, the one that's open and easy. And I tried using the editing tool to make it bigger. Another thing, make queues bigger. Why are they so small? I just don't understand why they didn't just have paths and they just make them one way only. It would make so much more sense. And you'd literally have a queue. And what I was hoping for in this game, which they haven't added, which I'm very annoyed about, is having shops in the queue. You know, food and drink while you're waiting. A toilet, maybe. Just so you're not... That's another thing. Why do rides queues not have toilets in them? How good would that be? You would literally be able to go to the toilet at some point if you were bursting. Yeah, you'd probably give up your line in the queue for the people that are walking past, but you would literally be able to go on more rides because you wouldn't have to constantly go to the toilet beforehand. I know it's too straight, but in real life they do have the drinks thing and it's really useful, and like the food snacks and the vending machines inside the queues. I don't know why we can't have it in Planet Coaster, and I'm losing my mind right now. Just watching this back I'm losing my mind, literally. So I didn't want to show all of this, but you can understand how frustrating and painful this actually is. Anyway, guys, we're going to skip to when I start building the priority pass now, because that is also not as really entertaining as this. What I will say is I do fix the problem here by using a little bit of angle snap, and eventually got it working, but God, it still looks ugly as hell because they're all curved. You can't make cattle pens at all. There's no way. You can't do it. You cannot make a square queue. You just cannot. It will not let you. The game physically will not let you do it. So you have to use this terrible queue system that cannot win. If there's one thing Frontier really need to fix, it is the queues. Rant over. Let's move on. So here we are. The priority pass is in place. The queue, I've added a bit of cobblestone in to make it a little bit immersive inside this little bit of hut of a station. I'm just currently doing this right now because I actually wanted to do the priority pass first, believe it or not, because it's easier and less painful with the queue, because it was only straight up. So I just made like a zigzaggy up, as you can see. And it kind of looked good. It looks good inside here, I feel like. We will obviously add more detail off camera and like make it better. But what I wanted to do was just get the base in at least. And I'm still trying to figure out queues. Look at me, I'm like just doing a little design here. Like probably ranting to my mate about how I absolutely despise queues right now. Probably what I was doing at this moment in time. But as you can see, it's starting to come together. You've got both the queue lines in, as you can see from this picture. I am building the priority pass queue line, making loads of cobblestone in to make it, you know, quite as claustrophobic as possible, I guess. I guess I wanted to make people claustrophobic. I don't know. I guess I just did. And it's a nice shortcut, really. I'm trying my best not to like overlap, especially with cobblestone, because it does this like blurry texture effect, and it really is bad. So you want to make sure that is not there at all, and it's very ugly to look at. But yeah, now that the priority pass is finally in and is taking shape, is now to get on with the main queue, and the main queue is going to have some challenges. Oh, let's just get started. So if you're wondering why these videos take so long to come out, these are the reasons. We're making queues, yes, because the queue system is so bad that it basically is that you have to figure out the right setting. Now, as you can see, angle snap 90, length 3 with line builder is your best bet, by the way, to making a queue good, because, yeah, or even off sometimes. But yeah, I find that these settings I have kind of makes queue building bearable, just about. But trying to get it into this building and into that station area is hard work. It is, and I'm showing you the whole thing right now because you need to see how painful this actually is. Also, yeah, made the station not grid-like, so I'm going to have to remove everything again just to get the queue line through. Because otherwise, how would people get to their ride? They'd just bash their head through the wall, I guess, or do a Harry Potter. You know, they could do that as well. Platform 9 Harry Potter situation. I don't know. But no, basically, the building has been made wrong. And there are so many teaming things that happen in this episode. But I feel like I am happy with how this turned out in the end. But God, could it please not take this amount of time? I believe this was like a 6-hour run. Not as much as last time, which is amazing. I've built more. But like, because I understand the game a bit more. But still, 6 hours. 6 hours to build the station and all this stuff. It's a lot. It might actually be longer. Probably 8 hours actually. Let's be real. I'm telling a lie. It's probably 8 hours or something like that. It does take a while. And if you are getting into Planet Coaster, guys, don't get too overwhelmed on how long things take. Take it at your own take. When I first started playing number 1, God, if I showed you some of my parks, you would be like, you are a complete noob. When I first started playing, everything is so bad. Like all the buildings just look so wonky and weird. Like, it does take a while to get into this game and actually do it properly. And I never really invested in 1 that much. I just built it and had fun. Didn't really record it or anything. But in 2, I want to invest. I want to invest in 2. I want this to be part of the channel for a long time, alongside all the Total War content I do. It's like a side gig for all Total War stuff, and like, but I don't want it to just be like Cyberpunk, where it's just around for a bit and it disappears. I want it to stay for a while. I want this park to do well. I want other parks to do well. I want my challenge series to do well. There's so many things I want to do in Planet Coaster, but I wanted to start with the simple, normal part first, to understand the money, to understand the mechanics, to understand everything that was going on. And once I understood that, then we could do the challenge part, because the challenge part could look cool and we could still make money, but God, would we have to really budget things down. Anyway, we're going to finally move on to our next section now that the queue line is finally in place, and we're going to start making a bit of detail. Yeah, let's do some detail. I think we'll show a little bit of detail, the front everything, like build like the sign and everything, and see how that looks. So, newsflash, I wasn't recording at all for this section. I'm kind of mad about it. Because I made quite a cool looking queue line outside and then changed the terrain. I didn't do too much. I had more fences and stuff. But I finally realised, and then I did this big windmill in, and I'm like, oh shit, I actually need to record. Because I saw that the OBS thing has like a red thing on it. You've not missed too much, I would say. I mean, like I said, I have been skipping a lot of like the boring parts out in this episode, but I wanted to show the detail of the queue line because it was quite interesting. But now we are doing the detail of the actual station. We're adding some like, what are they called? Boat yard netting, and it kind of looks cool, and then some little pipelines on top. I don't know, I'm literally just like making this up as I go along at this point. There's no real like plan or things. I'm just randomly going through the series. What could I add that makes this look even cooler? Let's have a ladder that just like, you know, randomly there, like they were working on it or something. Put some nice little poles in, you know, just really detailing it up. Now I did try and like think, oh, let's put these like pallets here, stack them up a bit. That look pretty cool. Maybe some like boats in the actual. Oh yeah, this is your first look at the of the river area. It looks cool, doesn't it? When it's all fenced in and it's got nice boat in there and stuff. I think it's starting to really take shape now. And then of course we're going back to here because we really need to fix this now. It's looking very, very stupid. Yeah, I decided to move it out of the way just so the coaster can actually get through without people bumping their heads, because that would be very dumb, wouldn't it? And now we're going to finally make the actual entrance, and it's all about like, what could I do? At first, I went for a very generic sort of entrance using signs and stuff, but eventually we do change this and make it a lot better. But I will show you everything that I did first. Actually, no. I think I actually didn't record that bit at all. No, we're actually building the proper thing already. I think I actually do change the sign, though. Yeah, the signs are a lot at first I'm like, okay, we'll go for... By the way, before I called it the Berserker, I called it Berserker's Quest. I thought that title seemed a bit too long. The Berserker sounded better for some reason. The Berserker. The Berserker's Quest just didn't hit as hard. Like, the Berserker, like, oh, you can get that on a sign. It's short, it's snappy. But the Berserker's Quest just did not do it for me at all. So the Berserker made sense. You're right for just the Berserker. Anyway, we're actually going to come back to that later because we're doing more detailing now on the porch bit of the station, you know, where the queue lines are. There is a lot of things to iron out inside that queue line. And for that reason only, we're probably not going to show the queue line this episode because there's so much to iron out. Now, I did say that I wasn't going to make this video too long, but I'm looking at the runtime right now, and we're at 45 minutes. I had to show all the things that I put in because I think you wouldn't understand the video otherwise, really, what was going on. There are things that I have definitely skipped out. If we did the whole time lapse, we'd be here 3 hours. But yeah, I'm just doing details now, like little polls and stuff. I want to show this because I feel like if I just show the complete thing, like, well, I'll just do that. Yeah, so I'm putting polls in. I'm trying to line them up now with the actual spikes, I guess. It's a bit of... It's fun. Figuring out what sort of thing to use is always difficult. Polls do look quite nice when you use them correctly. And I'm putting them into the station now, and they have already improved the look of the station. Doesn't the station look so more improved now with those poles in? Just that little bit of detail makes all the difference. I don't know what it is about poles. They are a magic tool in Planet Coaster 2. They just really are. And then obviously we got, you know, we can't neglect the back. I know the back's not going to be looked at as much, but you've still got to do the back. And what I really should do is use the grid tool, because I could literally copy and paste all of this onto the other side of the grid. Basically what you do is you do one side. I'm going to do this for future stations, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Is I'm just going to copy and paste with the grid, and then you put the detail on as at a building. Oh, I'm going to knock the mic. I hope that didn't cause any problems. I don't mean to knock the mic. When I explain stuff, I like to move my hands around a lot, so that might be why. I'm rambling a lot here, and a lot is happening, and I'm just putting detail down and making it look cool. Everything is starting to take shape. Obviously, a power generator is going to be hidden behind this ride as well. Well, actually, it's at the front. But what is going to be here is I'm just putting a staff path in. If you're wondering about the staff paths, so there they are. A few staff paths in there. I do love staff paths because they you can do it for shops as well, which I didn't realise. And I'm going to be doing that a lot for shops. Is I'm going to have staff paths only, so that only they can go into that section. So you can have bigger areas for them to stand in. So when they move out, they move around the staff path, which is really cool. Anyway, we're adding some toilets now. Toilet time. Yeah, of course, you know, you want a toilet near your ride. You always want a toilet near your ride, near your plaza, because if you don't have any toilets, you're going to want to go toilet, and you might piss on the ride, and no one wants that. So yeah, it's important that we have toilets in. Now, I was thinking about going for a realistic toilets, big toilet block, you know, have the toilets in there. Later on in the series, when maybe they get Fee Maker's Toolkit in, we can do that. There might be a way to do it now, but I'm not too sure. But I went for the generic toilets, and then added a nice, cool little detail thing above it. I probably should have made a bigger toilets, but, you know, they could just be portraits, these ones. Yeah? And then we could have, like, a big toilet block section later on. And then it's all about the detailing. Honestly, even toilets, I'm detailing right now. But you know what? I'm going to skip this on because it is literally toilets, okay? Let's go on to the next thing of what we're doing. Well, it turns out that the toilets are the last thing that we actually build on camera, so we're going to have to just show this off anyway. The last thing that we do is toilets, and we build little pillars up on each side to make it look even cool. In fact, you know what? I take it back. I'm glad I've showed this because it actually looks kind of cool. I made some cool looking toilets. Some Viking themed toilets. And yeah, guys, this, you know what? I'm really liking it. And finally, the station is done. The Berserker is ready. It's finished. It looks epic. And then I was thinking, oh, yeah, we got to put that back in. I did remove it while I was building the queue, but I'm putting that epic building back in. I cannot lie. It looks too cool to not put in. I know you can add some things, and it's all about the minor details, which I do off camera, by the way, because now we're going to go live now and show off what we have made. So welcome to live view of my part, Worlds of Wonder. So last episode, we worked on this, and we worked on the burger place and the water park. That was last episode. Are you ready to see the new part of what we've done today? So we're going to do this like we were walking to the new place. You know, like the new ride's opened, and we're going to go ride it. We're really excited. And you're gonna have to ignore a few things here because episode 3 is already in the works, and I'm already building some stuff for that. And there may be some like floating things around, so ignore those. They don't exist. None of this is being shown. I'm not going inside there or anything. That is for episode 3. What we are going to be doing is showing the stuff off that we did for episode 2. Yeah, a little sneak peek of what's to come in episode 3, but we ain't doing anything else there because we're miles behind on that there. Welcome to the Viking world, and obviously we haven't got a sign up or anything yet. That is for episode 3, is to decorate the plaza. Right, so here is the fountain in all its glory. This is what it looks like from a peep's perspective, by the way. You can see it looks absolutely glorious. I would love to see this fountain in real life walking past it. May get rid of the splash thing. I haven't decided yet. I don't know, it kind of looks cool, I guess. Anyway, moving on. This is Chief Beef. Now, I'm going to say this right now. I did not make this restaurant. I took it from the workshop. I kind of liked it. Oh, why can't I walk in here? That's weird. Can peeps not get in there? All right, well, apparently we're not allowed in, but I will have to fix that at a later date. But that's what it looks like from inside anyway. Anyway, the main event, the Berserker. Now, I was going to add a flat ride in, but we'll do that for the plaza next episode. So first, I'm going to show you the fast track and then the main queue. So for all you know, a fast track is something that you buy so you can avoid queue lines. And they're really, really useful on busy days. And what you do is, we need to fix a few things here because it's a bit dangerous. Walk in, so you got, like I said, it's not finished. By any stretch of the imagination, this place is not finished. But you walk up here, this is all going to be cobblestoned up eventually. I will fix this off camera because it's boring stuff. You enter in, and then, yeah, basically this is where you would go. The ride Berserker, no train in station. Yeah, so basically it's telling me that I have to wait until I can board. And then what will happen is once the train gets here, that sign should go away, right? That's cool. That is cool. Anyway, but yeah, we didn't pay for the fast track today because we weren't feeling it. We know it was a quiet day. There was no one at the park, so we thought, well, there's no point paying when we can get into 3. So now we're going to go down the main queue line, which is here, the main queue. Now, unfortunately, I haven't had time to put in the music or the theming like for that yet, but we will get there. But look how cool this looks with the Greek mythology queue pathway. I like to make these quite high so you can't jump into the river by accident. Unfortunately, I'm going to figure. Unfortunately, because you can't cattle pen, I didn't fill the ends in, and yeah, like I said, it's not all perfect, by the way. Yeah, you literally are a person, by the way. The only thing you can't do is jump. And we're just going to walk down the queue, and it's really cool actually being able to walk around in your part now. I think that's such a cool, nice change. Oh my god, right, I need to change that immediately. Like I said, what I've noticed is walking this low down is I've noticed there's a few things that definitely need changing. But yeah, it's cool having a look at the ride as it goes past there. I am probably going to make the coaster look even better next episode off camera in my spare time as well, like the cart and stuff. I think it'd be really cool to start looking at that. But you can see a nice little theme. I can't wait to add Viking music here and stuff. I could have put some in, but I just forgot. I ran out of time. Ignore this part of the station. I've not finished it. This is all going to get covered up and stuff. But yeah, the plan is to walk through here, right? This is probably the most best bit of the part, to be honest, where you feel the most immersed, because you've got the wall, the ladder there, the pillars, the random planks and stuff, the windmill. It's all here and it looks really cool. And then you go around the Viking lane, the cattle pens again, obviously. Now, I will be getting rid of these, by the way, because they look a bit weird. Nice little netting and everything on the station. So yeah, this part of the bit is, yeah, this bit we just ignore. We don't look at this area. It's it doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't exist. Anyway, finally into the final bit of the queue line, where we are going to board the ride. And yes, guys, we are going to show a POV of this ride. So we're going to wait for it to come into the station like a normal guest. And once it arrives, we will get on board. And enjoy. Right, so guys, here we go. Here is the pub. Now, I don't actually know how to hide the interface, so that's a bit annoying. But anyway, so you go through the trap doors, right, into that first banking section. So this is like, it's starting you off. I love that little wall mist there. That's quite good. And up into the lift hill. It's a bit of a slow lift hill, but it is a looper, so, they are quite slow going up those little lift hills. You can look around. I think if you click the mouse buttons, you can look left, you can look right. Looking quite cool there. Right, here we go anyway. Time to start. Now, we will wait at the top a second here until the train actually goes. By the way, this won't happen in normal mode. It's because it's a testing at the moment and we're waiting for the blockers to go. And then eventually we do go and we go down our first drop, which is a nice little backwards turn into the first loop. That's where you go across the station there into the second loop. Looking very tidy through there. We'll have to delete that tree, remind me. Into the first airtime hill, down into another drop. Need to probably delete a bit of that ground there. Like I said, it's not perfect. Into another airtime hill, into another drop there. Oh, and then another loop, double loop section. And I think that is it for the loops. And then it's a nice tidy finish. Another little bank turn. And then into the block breaks. Now, we shouldn't stop here because there's no, yeah. So I'll only stop there if there was a ride car in the station. So the blocks are there for safety reasons. And that's it. And yeah, guys, that is what it looks like from a customer's perspective, really. Now, I'm avoiding the back here because this is also for next episode where we were going to be adding the gift shop. There's going to be a lot going on in that. I'd say that's good for about 8 hours, 6 hours worth of work on and off throughout the week when I've had time. And I'm quite impressed with what I've done. I mean, you might think, oh, well, that looks, that's really messy. There's a lot to tidy up. There is a lot to tidy up. If you look inside, I have fixed a lot of problems that were going on in here. Like, I added like some board stuff here. But yeah, this needs fixing and everything. But yeah, guys, that is going to conclude this episode of Planet Coaster 2 Worlds of Wonder. I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, that went off this time without the blocks because basically, yeah, it's safe to do so. Well, thanks so much for watching. If you did enjoy, remember to like, rating, make sure to subscribe. And let's get ready for part 3, the gift shop and the plaza section to this area. And there's a couple of flat rides in there and possibly another coaster. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.